So I guess this is going to be another wiring video. I don't know which number, I'm losing count, but the current status of this Fummins is that I have a good set of switches down here. I bought an exhaust brake switch, even though I don't have an exhaust brake yet, but someday I will. Then I bought a cruise control set for accelerate, coast, set, and resume. That will replace this thing down here because I find it to be really obnoxious. But I haven't wired it in yet. My mirror heater switch is going to replace the one that came with it up here. I haven't wired it in yet. And I also, since I converted to a 271 manual, this switch does nothing. And then I bought a switch to switch the primary camera from my backup camera to my cargo camera because my radio only lets me choose one in reverse. And then the only one that's wired in is my power points. So the other thing is that nothing in my dash works. So that's what we're going to start tackling. Alright, I got that Arduino with a CAN bus shield hooked up to my iDash. And my iDash is pulling random RPM, vehicle speed, and engine coolant temperature from it. The rest of the sensors are all built into the iDash and not coming from CAN bus, but I have confirmed that I can indeed emulate an actual PCM with CAN bus over ODB2 over CAN bus, I guess is the right way to say it. Now that I've got the output working, I need to figure out how to read the CCD bus on the Cummins engine. And so I have some hardware on the way to give a stab at that. And I'm really hoping I can just grab everything that the Cummins ECU sends, which would be oil pressure, engine coolant temperature, fuel temperature. I think it sends some kind of a boost. It sends RPM. I'm not sure what else it sends. Maybe timing info. We'll figure it out. But anything I can get from that I don't have to build a custom input for would be great. And then I'll figure out how to get the speed signal being sent out of that quick forward processed as an input. And then I can rebroadcast that over OBD2 so that I can display that on my iDash and log it, and that would be great. And then I have a second cluster on the way, and I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to power that cluster with that Arduino with all the data that I'm inputting. In the end, we'll see how much of this I can accomplish, but I'm pretty encouraged. I got it sent into my iDash, and I got it powering a rail tachometer and rail speedometer on the bench. So, one step at a time. And here I am trying to figure out if I can get any information off the ECU on my Cummins at all. So I've got a CCD bus dev board hooked up to my Arduino, and I'm using CCD SCI scanner, and I'm getting CCD bus messages, but they all seem to be related to the PCM, not the ECU. And they're just errors because I don't have the Dodge PCM. And really all I'm looking for is just whatever the Cummins ECU can give me. I particularly like to be able to get the tachometer off of it. SCI bus messages are just giving me a weird error, but I'm at least getting packets, so I'm making progress. I'm not sure what I can accomplish yet, but it's encouraging. Well, I've decided to go ahead and just wire in a few of these wires into my bulkhead connector, and it bolts down there where the PCM used to bolt, and then I can continue working on trying to get data out of this damn ECU because it did not go like I was hoping for on try one. But I'm going to keep trying, so instead of having this mess, I'm just going to get it put in my bulkhead connector, and then I can get it hooked up inside the cab for testing and stuff, and then not have a mess. So this is a pretty epic ending to this video from my perspective. My GPS says I'm going 55. So does my iDash, which also happens to agree with my cluster, but the real magic is that I'm pulling the speedometer signal off of my tranny controller, going through my open source powertrain control module built with an Arduino Mega, and then outputting over OBD2 over CAN bus on those two wires, and that's what's displaying on my iDash. So I'm going to call this version 0.0.1 of my open source powertrain control module, and I'm going to move on to figuring out a good way to mount this thing permanently in this truck, because that will also power a head-up display, a HUD display when I get one, and will allow me to start thinking about a different dash cluster that doesn't have all these lights on and looks cooler. But just to prove how good this is working, I can speed up. It matches the GPS. Like, this is an amazing feeling because I didn't know this was possible. And here I am driving it into a fire, so I need to turn around before this smoke engulfs me. So we'll see you in the next video, which is probably going to be about figuring out a better way to mount this and power it and make it permanent. And then I can start adding one more sensor and one more output at a time. And I'd really like to get the tax signal next, but I am just tickled absolutely to death to have this working. Couldn't be happier. Have a good one, y'all. So one more thing I want to throw in at the end of this video is that I'm going to be open sourcing every line of code that I write to make this thing work. So you can see here I've got my speedometer input, speedometer output. This is the main file in the code I'm writing, and you don't have to know much about computer programming to know that you saw it working. And basically it's just saying speedometer input, get current speed, and then ODB2 send data, and it's just sending that speed. And I'm going to keep adding to this just slowly but surely. I obviously want to get a tachometer input because right now I have an output working but no input, so that would be great to get next. And I want to add some transmission pressure and temperature sensors, outputs, and just go from there. And this will be on my GitHub. I'll put a link in the video description, and if you want to use this code, you're free to. If you want to come and complain about how bad I write it, you're free to do that too. So, but one thing at a time, I will keep improving it because I'm really having fun.